For example, we were talking earlier about the Netflix film placement. Um, these this particular, they're like a duo, so it's not this artist, but these particular artists, the duo, the band or whatever, they had their image together, man. Their social network numbers were great, and they were engaging on social media. It wasn't just high numbers and no engagement. Like, their fans love them. So they had, the online presence. They had they had references from some heavy hitters in the industry, some legends. So they had the marketing and everything in place to where when it came time for me to pitch them, it was easy. It was just like, they're the full package. They're ready to go. And I feel like music supervisors, if they're going to place an artist, they like, kind of having that edge on giving, new, fresh artists exposure, especially when their packages together. It makes it easier for them. It makes them look good. And it's a win-win for everyone. So I think, from the artist perspective, it's super important.
Yeah, and just for the people listening to this, can you tell us the Netflix special? Tell us the placement you're talking about, because I know what you're talking about, but those listening to this don't know the show or the artist. What was the name of the show again?
So it was a movie, Napoli Ever After, starring Sanaa Lathan, on Netflix, and then the artist song that was placed was the APX band. So their song "Lose Yourself to the Groove" was placed during the hair salon, when she was like sitting under the dryer. That scene, it was like playing in the background and just vibed out. So that's what that was.
Right on. And if you could, can you tell everybody the story about how you secured that placement? It's kind of an interesting story. I know you said you went directly to the supervisor. Can you tell that story again?
Yeah, so pretty much the situation was I knew I grew not grew up, but we kind of moved to Atlanta around the same time, and we just kind of grew musically together, and we were all on the come up together, me and this band. So I've been on this venture of building a publishing company and just kind of get my publishing chops up. So I asked them if I could, just represent them, sign them to kind of like an agent, sync agent deal. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Because I felt like their music was super strong, super syncable, and it could work. So it was like, cool. So we did that. Fast forward some time. Well, let me backtrack. So a few years ago, I worked on a Christmas album for Tamar Braxton. And while I was out in New York working on that, I was introduced to one of the other producers' manager. He was a real cool guy. So we exchanged contact information once we wrapped up that project, and just kind of kept in touch, because I guess he said that he comes through Atlanta a lot or whatever. So we just kept in touch, and every now and then he would ask me a music licensing question, and just kept in touch that way as far as music is concerned. So then one day randomly he hits me up. He's just like, yo, do you have contact information for this music supervisor? And I was just like, no, like, I know who he is, but I don't have any information on him. If I come across something, I'll definitely pass it over. And he was just like, okay, cool. So then he texts me maybe 15 minutes later. He's just like, guess what? I'm like, what? He's like, I already had his information. It was in my phone. He used a piece of music from one of my other producers. And then he just gave it to me. He was just like, here, man, I wish the best, man, use it. So I was just like, cool. So I started thinking, my mind is going, and I'm thinking of all the projects that this music supervisor worked on. And then, I recently signed the deal with the APX. So I was just like, yo, this is perfect. Like, I can use them to introduce myself and introduce their music, and at the same time start building this relationship with this super dope music supervisor. And so that's what I did. I sent a cold email. He didn't know who I was, but sent him an email with their bio, links to their music, links to their social networks, like we just talked about, and just really, man, I blew him up, and I spoke highly of him. told him about recommendations from Teddy Riley, and was just like, yo, like you have to check this band out, and just really made him, just click the link to listen to the music. And their music was so great that that did the rest of the speaking for me. And he heard it. He was just like, yo, this is right up my alley. Like, I'm glad you sent it to me. I got a couple scenes that I'm working on now that this could work for. He was just like, we'll be in touch. And then about months later, I get an email for a quote request for the Napoli Ever After placement, where they were auditioning it. And and it just it moved forward from there, and then everything got finalized, and it made the film. So it goes back to just relationships, man, just having relationships. And this was a relationship that started from a project years ago. So you never know, man, who you're sitting in the room with, and at the same time, you never know the people around you, man, like what they're going to do, as you guys kind of grow in your craft and in your careers. You guys can come up and help each other, and just really make a mark.
Right on. Do you feel like the fact that you were representing this artist did that make a difference at all? Like, in other words, if they approached the supervisor directly on their own, would that have diminished their chances?
It could have, because they had no idea of how to go about pitching music to a music supervisor or for a TV show. That's why they kind of reached out to me, and we kind of linked up, because it was a strong area of mine, just from the few years of experience, and it was something that they wanted to do. So, and it was allowing me to kind of get my publishing chops up. So it allowed us to help each other. So yeah, I definitely think it helped give them an edge by just having me with the small amount of experience I had to kind of approach and just really make the play happen.